Alright y'all, welcome back. Bilansley here again with another video for you guys. Today, I've already done a couple of videos on my experimental exploding zombie dog builds. So I figured I would show you a quick little tutorial on just basically my normal build, my standard setup, show you guys my gear, my stats, and then do a quick little run for y'all. As you can see here, as usual, I have my drink. Things are going swimmingly here. So let's begin. Basically, I'm sure I've stated this before, but my entire Witch Doctor build is what you could call a melee Witch Doctor. Played in a really similar style to what like a CM melee wizard would build. Albeit with a little bit less crowd control. However, the idea is you put out so much AoE damage that it really negates the need to be able to like freeze or stun lock enemies. So let me go ahead and go over the gear here on my main. As you can see, unbuffed, I sit at about 168,000 K damage. Granted, that is with Pierce the Veil. Occasionally, I will switch out Pierce the Veil for something different, depending on the situation, and that does drop my DPS 20%, which brings us down to about 140-ish K. So still really good damage output considering my gear, which I'll show you in a second. I'm not going to sit down and say that my gear is godly or anything. There's definitely room for improvement, but my goal is to always be progressing. And I think I've done a pretty good job at that, and I've gotten to the point where I've played around with enough builds and have built a pretty solid knowledge base on how to play a Witch Doctor that I think that some of my recommendations and suggestions that I'll be giving on here remain valid. So first of all, we'll go ahead and start out with the skill set. And the whole play style and idea around this build is running into big packs of mobs and melting them really quickly and exploiting the fact that because you're so close to them with Grave Injustice, you'll constantly be getting 2% health, 2% mana, and a 1% a 1 second cooldown on your abilities. So the two core skills that we utilize in this build are going to be Fire Bats with the Cloud of Bats rune. If you don't know what that is, basically when you initiate the spell, a whirling vortex of flaming bat death surrounds you. It procs crits really well, and it's very effective. You'll see when I show you the video that it's very good for running into the group of mobs and melting them. Now, prior to using Fire Bats when you run into a mob, the other primary attribute that we're going to use here is Soul Harvest with the Vengeful Spirit skill. If any of you play Witch Doctor, I'm sure you already know that Soul Harvest, for every enemy hit up to 5 enemies, gives you a huge intellect boost. It's something like at 5 stacks, 600 plus int. We combine that with the Gruesome Feast rune, which gives you a 10% intellect bonus up to 5 times for globes collected plus mana regen not from globes, and you can realistically more than double this DPS. I'll try to get a screenshot and show you guys what my DPS max is out at, but it's somewhere around 309,000. Now it's not always that high, but because I am constantly spamming Soul Harvest and collecting lots of life globes, my DPS effectively is well over 200,000 almost at all times. The next skill, damage dealing skill that we use is Acid Cloud with Corpse Bomb. Now there's a couple different options you can use on this. I've really been digging Corpse Bomb for a while because, for one, if you're in a situation with some gnarly elites, you can stand off and drop these corpse bombs, and it does it's a massive AoE, and you can see some huge crits off of this spell. The biggest problem is this is not going to be a spammer spell for you. If you spam this over and over and over again, despite it using a lot of mana, it does do a lot of DPS, but you just have to be careful because you can drain your mana supply really quickly. Then we have Spirit Walk. I've always said this. I think Spirit Walk, regardless of which rune you use, that's really a personal choice. I roll with Healing Journey just because I get myself into some crazy situations sometimes, and it makes it easier for me to escape and regen some life. But this is your positioning spell. This is what is going to get you into position, get you into the middle of packs, out of middle of packs, and make you real swift like. So that basically you don't die. This and Grave Injustice are the two things that primarily keep you alive. Now, with that being said, I mean, I still have 1,000 vitality, I still have 800 plus AR unbuffed, and I have 4,300 armor, so I'm already pretty sustainable to begin with, but using this really exploits that fact, and I really don't lose a whole bunch of life. Now, your primary skill, this is going to be the most variable skill that you have in this build, and I said that the same thing when I showed you the Exploding Doggies build, but I've really been digging Rain of Toads lately. We'll go to my gear real quick, and as you can see, I use some Blackthorn's Jousting Mail, which gives me 461 life on hit, and then I do have a ring that gives me another 163, and I don't know the exact mechanics or what the deal is with Rain of Toads, but it seems for sustainability, Rain of Toads, it just keeps my life tapped out. As long as I'm hitting enemies with it, you're good to go. So Plague Rain of Toad is really good. Another option you have is Ghost Bomb. If you have a little bit more IAS than I do, that can do some really dirty AoE damage mana efficiently. But if you're having some issues staying alive, stick with the Rain of Toads and get some life on hit. Go over my gear real quick. Nothing godly or anything, although it is pretty decent. It's getting there. Constantly improving, and I'm always open to suggestions for what I could do better, where I could get more DPS, more survivability. But starting with my helmet, got a yellow helmet. It's no socket, but Invit, AR, Magic Find, Crit, Crit CD, Int, my AMI, usual stats on the bracer, nothing special. Pretty decent set of gloves. Vile wards I have are actually pretty good. Spent a little bit of money on them, but I personally think that Vile wards are the best shoulders in the game, pretty much for any class. As long as you get a decent set, I can't really think of any other shoulders that would top a Vile ward. My belt, I do use a Witching Hour. Gives me some attack speed increase, which is great for the Scorn, plus the CD. Also as well as intelligence and all resistance. And then my Zuni set consists right now of boots, marrow, and a decent pox, which I plan on upgrading. And ultimately, my next gear upgrade is going to be my helm, and I will be getting a Zuni's Vision, definitely with crit, vitality, those kind of stats, and definitely an increase in intelligence. So that should help out a little bit. Plus, I'll have the 4-set bonus. My other ring is just a real basic trifecta ring, again with some life on hit. And I do use a Scorn. People say, it attacks slow and everything else, but one of the really great things about the build that I'm about to demonstrate and show you guys is that pretty much all the spells that I utilize are non-IAS dependent. And what I mean by that is, in order for them to proc the crits or the big damage numbers that you get, it doesn't require a lot of IAS. The biggest thing with this build is being in close proximity to enemies. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and close out of my stats, and we'll just do a quick little demonstration. I guess we can do some Act 2. We're on Monster Battle 2. As you can see, I've had a few little drinks tonight, so nothing too special. I don't like starting at the Bridge of Corsic, so I'm going to port immediately back to Bastion's Keep, and just for the sake of showing off the effectiveness of this build and really how quickly you can melt things, I'm going to go straight to the Keep's Depth 1 because there's high mob density there, and I should be able to give you a pretty good idea. So typically I'll run in Soul Harvest, Cloud of Bats, and it pretty much just melts packs. You can see it's just kind of like a meat grinder as they aggro. If I need to, I can drop a corpse bomb, or I can stand off, on these trash mobs, but I don't like to waste the mana. Playstyle wise though, if we can find some larger packs here like this, you can Soul Harvest. Obviously that's going to do a lot of damage. Corpse bomb them, run in here, and pretty much just finish them off with your Cloud of Bats, and no issues. You can see right there that my mana is regenning quickly, and I have almost no loss of life. So again, we'll come over, we'll Soul Harvest to get a 5-stack, finish them off with Cloud of Bats, continue moving on. Corpse Bomb, Soul Harvest is ready. Obviously you guys are getting the point just from some of these basic trash packs, but I'd really like to find an elite pack here so I can kind of show you really how quickly you are able to farm with this setup. And I've used it for quite some time now, and I find it to be, especially solo farming, probably the most effective. Single mobs like this, Rain of Toads is more than sufficient to take them out. There's no really need to waste the mana. I mean, you're moving forward. By the time you get to the next section, they're dead anyway. I can just Soul Harvest these guys. They don't have very much health, and that's just GG. Good game on them. And we have an elite pack right here. They are reflect damage, so I have to be a little bit careful, especially with Frozen, but fortunately these skeletons don't have a whole lot of health, and my DPS is high enough that I'm able to take them out really quickly. So in a situation like that, I didn't even need to engage them really in melee range. I was able to just sort of auto attack them down and take care of them relatively quickly. But like I said, this is MP2, so it's nothing too difficult. Definitely something that witch doctors that have much lower base DPS could handle with ease. I mean, this is almost to the point that I don't really have to put any effort in. It's so easy. I just really don't lose any health. Damage reflects right off of me, and even my auto attacks just do so much damage. We'll go to the depths 2 really quickly. They have typically a pretty dense pack of elites there, so I'm gonna go to the Keeps 3 waypoint, and we'll just clear through this small dungeon really quickly. Take care of these elite packs real quick. I mean, you can see Soul Harvest pretty much done. even though I got frozen, it didn't really have too much of an effect. Like packs like that where you can just soul harvest and continue. Looks like we got another elite pack here. Now these guys do have fire chains, so the biggest thing with fire chains in this build, since it does require you to be somewhat up close and personal with them, is you do have to kite them around a little bit, and the big thing is not let them get you surrounded. So you want to focus one of the fire chain elites down first, that way they can't make like a triangle of death around you. And really, once you get them down to just one pack left, it's nothing. I mean, one soul harvest and the guy is done. So we'll continue through depths 3. This is an event elite pack here. Waller Arcane, that's pretty much death. Now one thing you'll notice that's really nice about Wall of Toads or Plague of Toads is that even if you're walled in, you can still drop your Rain of Toads on top of the enemies even if they're behind the wall. So it does allow you to do a little bit more constant DPS. These guys hit fairly hard, so I'm trying to stay out the way of them, but in general, as long as you don't let demonic tremors sort of catch you off guard, they don't really have a whole lot of health. Got a little melt session here. As we continue, one thing I will say is if you're lower Paragon level or you're not quite as geared, farming low MP and just doing like Sky Crown Stone Fort for the key in the depths and then resetting is a really good little run, because it'll yield you a whole lot of experience and give you a nice chance at legendary drops while not being super difficult to handle. I mean, the creeps that are in the depths are not particularly difficult or have a lot of HP. There's just a lot of them. So the biggest issue people run into is just getting surrounded and trapping themselves in situations that aren't really beneficial to their cause. But we'll go here to Breach and then Depths 2 very quickly, just to kind of show you what's going on, and then we'll wrap this video up quick. But I just wanted to do a video for everyone just to see how I play my Witch Doctor typically, and I find it to be quite effective. I've always subscribed to the idea that farming faster and killing more mobs is superior to the MP buff that you get from higher MP levels, just because even with really good DPS, it's always going to take longer. And I mean, if you have even 200k DPS and you can kill 3 times as many mobs in MP 2 or 3 as you can in 6 or 7, then statistically speaking, I would say that you're still going to find more legendaries farming the lower MPs, just because you have more chances to roll in a shorter amount of time. Now these guys, little suicide bombers, They are very annoying in Act 2. They're probably my biggest problem. I die from them frequently, mainly because of just lack of attention and not really being aware of my surroundings, rushing into situations too quickly before I see what is going on. But after they nerfed them, I believe that was patch 1.0.5 or 4, maybe a couple patches ago. Their timer that they have on them before they actually explode is a lot longer, so it's not as bad as it was. It's just you definitely need to watch out for the terrorists, as I like to call them. One thing that's also really nice about Depths 2 is if you're trying to go for like kill streak records for some reason, this is probably one of the best places to do it, just because they have the skeletons that drop from the ceiling. There's a lot of mobs in it, big creep density, and again, we've encountered several different kinds of mobs. I mean, extra health, knockback, frozen. We've pretty much seen it all in this short little video, and there's really been nothing that has proven to be difficult for me at all. So in terms of just a straight farming build, try it out. Leave some comments, suggestions. If you have any modifications to it, if you find something that you think is more effective, by all means, let us know. And as always, we are streaming live right now, so thank you to all the viewers that are watching us. And if you would like to be part of our web community, we do have a community website, and we are accepting applications to join. We're an active community, and we like to help each other out and have a great time. So I'll put a link to that in the video. And as for right now, we'll be signing off for just a minute. I'm going to make myself another drink. And happy farming, everybody. And as usual, y'all have a great night.